There'll be a $20 cover charge.
There, just in case you couldn't figure that out.
Hold on to
I can still wear the leotard, but it's not something you want to see. This must be me right here.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can hold on to it for the whole panel if you want. You want to? They should give you like these like buttons.
Oh, believe me, I got
Hello, hello. Hello.
What a nice looking group. Well, this side. So is that pretty much it? Now, I'm sorry. We have a moderator. So let's down.
Okay, we're ready to start. I have reminders that multimedia recording is allowed here. Please turn off your cell phones or we're on vibrate. And we'll be opening the panel to the audience to ask questions.
What are we, Brad and Angelina? I don't care if
It's all right with me.
Come out in the hall after you take all the film that we want.
Okay. My name is Celeste Johnston. I'm from ThunderCatsNow.com. And we have guests today, Larry Kenney. And Gerrianne Raphael. Okay, first question. How did you two get started in acting?
Oh my goodness. I started when I was 4 years old. My father was a pianist for CBS, and he played on a program which you all were not even born yet, on a radio show called Let's Pretend, and it was a children's show, and that was my first job. And I carried the script and had it memorized because I was 4 and I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing and I couldn't read. So that was how I started in radio back then, and I've been acting and in plays and doing things all my life. That's how I got started.
Well, I started in radio too. I was 15 in Illinois, and through a series of fortunate occurrences, I got a job at a local radio station in Peoria, Illinois, as a disc jockey. Spinning golden wax, you know. And since I had been, believe it or not, a class clown in school.
No.
Yeah, a little bit. Doing, you know, silly, crazy voices. In fact, I like to joke that I wish I had a nickel. Well, I do have a nickel for every teacher who, you know, would say, you know, Larry, I hope when you grow up you find a way to make a living with your little voices and jokes. Screw you. So I, of course, so I became a disc jockey, and I incorporated characters into my show, impressions and things like that, and then that led to, pardon me, doing commercials and you know, doing. Well, for over 30 years, I've been the voices of Count Chocula cereal on TV. And don't eat that crap; it'll kill you. This is why we don't want to tape it. I get a call Monday from General Mills, Larry, and Count Chocula, and for about the same period of time, I've been selling the Cocoa Puffs for. You thought the bird was talking? It's a cartoon. How big I won't go Cocoa Puffs. So I found that the voices led to that, and then of course, lo and behold, how else can you use cartoon voices? On the cartoon. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
When one show that I did a long time ago was I was the littlest dwarf on the Ajax commercials. And it smells good too. And I do a lot of little boys in a nice way, of course. A tiny step forward in man's quest for flavor.
that was you?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
That's a funny thing because I'm sure Gerrianne will say the same things happen to her. That we as actors meet other actors, you know, and you don't talk about acting because you know that's what you do. But once in a while, you're like sitting here, I'll say, "I didn't know you did that." Even though I've known her for 35 years.
The characters that you played on the original series, the ones that you did, Chilla,
Yes.
Pumyra,
Yes.
yes.
Well, Pumyra was basically my heroic character, and so that was kind of straightforward, and I sounded, I think, the way I sound now, because I was trying to think back, and Larry said, why don't you do the little bit of Pumyra? And I panicked, because I don't remember, you know, what I did, but I just did me. So that was that. But Chilla was another story, because Chilla blew breath.
Oh,
And,
you finished that sentence. Now, Guitar is another story. I'm sorry, you know, she was the original ThunderCats host.
So I had a hard time blowing out my breath. I seem not to be able to get away from this thing anyway. And I would go, and then I had absolutely no voice left to speak. So what I devised was to breathe it in and go, and that would sound to you all as though I was blowing it out. But then after having done that, then I could talk on it and I could say in many words as I had to that were there, and I could continue talking for quite a while because I had blown in a lot.
I didn't know you did Chilla.
So that was Chilla. Okay.
That's a great story.
And Larry,
Yes.
you not only did Lino and Jacqueline and several other secondary characters on the original series, you also did some voices from the original series on the DVD set.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we all did. Our cast was, what, 6 people, right?
Yes.
The entire cast of ThunderCats, with maybe an exception of 1 or 2 here or there.
Occasionally
Yeah.
somebody else
Yeah.
would
But the
come in,
cast
but-
was basically I think 6 of us.
And we did many different characters,
Yeah.
and they would come with a sketch and say, okay, everybody try this, whether it was a boy or a girl. The sex of it didn't matter. You tried out for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd have to stand there in front of each other and audition for this extra new.
It was friendly. It was friendly.
Yeah, it was all
There were
right.
times I held back because I was tired. So yeah, so the cast of, I don't think people realize this, that the 6 of us did all the voices. So we would each of us was a ThunderCat, of course. Each of us was a major
Other character.
a villain or
And then whoever else came up.
yeah,
that
the
they
Rover
needed.
Verbals. I was Safari Joe. He was in several episodes.
Right.
In fact, it got to the point where we did 130 episodes by the end of the show. So I remember about maybe 80 episodes into it, he'd already done 100 characters, and a new character would come up, and they would say, "Okay, here's a character. Larry, why don't you try see what you think this guy would?" And I'd go, "Oh, I got rid of that. We must have the ThunderCats, yes." I say, "Good, but that's Vulture Man, or that's Jackal Man," and it was. I mean, you can only do so much. So, but we all did. All the voices.
This just reminds me of my daughter Deirdre is here now, and at one point I was up for a commercial, and I had her with me, and it was a bunch of dogs that were I can't even remember what the commercial. I was a Zsa Gabor type. I think it was a French poodle. Okay, and this very petite other actor was sitting next to me, and he said, and who am I meant to be? What? And she said, oh, you're sort of a Don Knotts character, like what was it? And the Andy Griffith Show. And he said, I've never seen the Andy Griffith Show. And Deirdre leaned over to me and said, oh, Mama, I guess he doesn't have a television set.
He doesn't have an old black and white television. So, speaking of the dogs thing, Bob McFadden, who played Snarf,
He was wonderful.
God bless him. God bless his soul. Rest in peace. Funniest man I've ever met in my life. Bob would, we would do a take of one scene, you know, and as actors, you do a take, and then you look up to see what kind of reaction you're getting from the other side of the glass. And a lot of times they just ignore you. They're going. So Bob would look up, and he would do one, and they would say, Bob, can you give us that again, a little more dramatic? He'd turn around and look at me. He'd look behind a screen that wasn't there and say, "Mother, that hated it." And then he would do one that everybody in the room knew was perfect. Couldn't be any better. And he'd look in, and they were all talking to each other, and Bob would look at the mic and he'd go, "Would you gild Olympus?" But the thing I was going to say was that Bob used to tell a story. Bob could do sound effects like you would not believe. He could do dogs, different kinds of dogs. Then he could do 2 dogs or 3. I mean, and he would do a dog, and then 2, and you could actually hear as many as 8 different dogs.
He was extraordinary. I've never.
Yeah, amazing guy.
Yeah, and he did Jack Benny. He was a wonderful Jack Benny too. And of course, he was his nephew as well. So he was himself and Snurf, and then he was
Snarf.
and
Both the most annoying creatures that ever walked in. But the new Snarf doesn't talk; he just snarfs. We're all happy about it.
No! I want him to talk. I want him to talk more.
There's always one person that likes it. But only one.
Now, Gerrianne,
Yes.
you touched on the process that you made for Chilla's Boys.
Yes.
Question is, were you given artistic liberties with the characters that you voiced?
Well, when they gave you the sketch of the character, and you brought to it whatever came to you as what you thought that picture represented, then you brought your own. That's why you were hired. I mean, it was for that very original creativity, and that's part of what being an actor in a cartoon is, that you bring all of that to it, and that's why they hire you. So they don't really lay much on you. I mean, they might give you a concept of, this is a, well, like I said, a Don Knotts character for that other thing. They might give you a suggestion like that, and then you have to find a way of bringing that to life to satisfy it.
And then once they decide, yes, that's what we like, then
that's
that's the standard. There are times that later, when you, for whatever reason that day, your voice was, you were a little off that character, they would, let's play him some.
Play some of the old tape, so we can hear what you sounded like.
That would especially happen if a character would reoccur after several episodes.
And you don't remember what you
exactly
did
what he sounded
when
like.
you,
Yeah. So they play it for you. Oh yeah. Now I remember I had that little nuance. Gee, I've forgotten all this stuff. And probably in a few years I will.
At one time I did a commercial that was called Pal Vitamins, and we sang a song together. You probably all too young to remember that one too. Anyway, and I was the pink fish, and it was a very secret product. And so what we auditioned was airline copy. I mean, it had absolutely nothing to do with the copy because it was all a big secret. And months later, you booked it, or you didn't, and in this case I did. And they certainly had to play what you had done because you had no idea what you had sounded like back then or what you had done. So that's very important.
Or you may have at your audition given them several different voices.
Exactly, and you don't know which one they wanted, which one they chose for that particular character.
Have you ever had this happen to you? I audition for something, get booked on it, and I get there, and I'll say, could you play, do you have the audition, usually do you have what I did in the audition, just to remind, because I did 5 or 6 for you, and this happened to me once in my career, and they played it, and I went, that's Bob Caliban, that's not me. Somebody booked the wrong guy, and I can't do that voice. One time,
Oh my
Bob
gosh.
Caliban, and I just told him, They paid me for the session. They had to show
They-
up.
and
Hey,
But
let it
Bob got all
work.
residuals.
Oh.
well, it's not exactly like that. No, it's different. But I heard myself on a commercial, and I went, I auditioned for that, and I've never been booked, and I didn't get paid, and what is that? And it was a Campbell soup commercial, and I had the opening line on the commercial, and I said, let me have a bite of your soup. And then it went on to talk about the soup. And I called my agent, and they said, no, Lynn Lipton, who actually played Chitara on and they said, no, Lynn Lipton, but I said, I'm sorry, but that's me on that name. And so they had to call and so forth. They said, oh yeah, we lifted that from the audition. Oh, and if I hadn't heard myself, I would have lost out on a commercial that was a very big network spot that went on, and like you'd hear it, and you never came back again. I mean, in other words, you try and listen to the commercial, but if you missed the first line, that was it. That's just things that happen in our business that you have to watch out.
I've had millions and millions, literally, it sounds like, I'm exaggerating, but I've heard millions and millions of commercials that I wasn't on. It really pisses me off every time. Millions.
So if you were not doing this as voice actors, what would you be doing?
Starving. I'd be starving. I have no other skills. I don't know. What would I like? Since I started, you started when you were.
Well, I've done a lot of stage work and a lot of Broadway shows, and I sing, and so the voice is part of what I do. But my stage career was the most important thing to me. I adore doing voiceovers. It's great fun, and it uses all those different muscles. But as I was telling Larry before, I have this wonderful resume with all these shows and so forth, and young people, I will do a new show, and they can't wait to read your who's who and your biography, and you read it, and all this stuff, and they go, oh, you were on ThunderCats! Oh. And it's like, that's the major thing that people are impressed with. They don't give a hoot about all those other things, you know. So if I weren't doing voices, I would still be on the stage, because I don't know how to do anything else.
For me, probably something in the medical field.
How about with computers?
Why? Wait a minute. Why is that so funny? I actually wanted to be a doctor.
So did my husband.
I would have been a doctor, but they wanted me to take like science courses. Like that's gonna happen.
I think we've covered that.
Are these questions that the audience has submitted?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because usually those are like, in episode 84, Lionel walked in and the cord was in his right hand, and then if anybody was going to ask that, go ahead. That's fine. I'm just I wonder what. Go ahead.
This is to you, Larry, for the.
Are you okay?
You're the doctor.
While you're thinking, I have a question. Can two people be considered a panel? It should be like a couple.
You up there, it is.
It'll be a, oh, not that fat. Oh, yeah. I got you. Get him out.
You heard him.
As I was saying,
You were actually jumping from the to the
which
news
question?
There's a live show host and two voice actors here, so if you need help.
Okay.
So then I was 18. And,
Have you both watched the new series?
oh yes.
And do you have?
Have you?
No, I have not.
Oh!
Well, I was not asked to be in the new series. Larry is in the new series.
I would have watched it if
Part
you
of
were
the
on
new
it.
series, I might have taken more interest and watched it. But
If I wasn't on it and you were, I'd be watching going boo, boo. I have watched it, yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's fantastic. They don't. You guys like it?
I love it!
Anybody not like it? Be honest. Anybody not like the series? Be honest. Yeah.
How is Thundera on?
Oh, we have one of those.
Oh, you mean like you're going to ask me a question like to explain why it's animation? They can do whatever they want. No, I don't know. They did change some things, but as actors, we're not involved with that because we can't understand it. I can't understand what they do.
Well, that was
Just
one
do
of the
what they put in
questions
front of
was,
you and try and justify it in some way, but if you ask too many questions, it ruins it. You know?
Just let it
do
go.
the work. And
Just enjoy it. It's artistic license.
And you get money for it.
oh
And we get
yes.
paid hundreds of dollars.
now, Larry, how with Mama. She broke when
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. What can I tell you? And of course I can't.
Is
find
that
it.
you too? First she doesn't watch the show.
Okay.
We're retroactively kicking you off the show. I'm going to erase every episode of Chillin' and
Won't
Pumyra.
happen again.
That was me calling you, by the way. I erased that.
No, I was commenting on the fact that her phone was ringing.
Yes, that's my daughter Kathleen. I was appalled at my bad manners to have not checked my phone. I apologize to one and all.
And this will be about the same about the time that we'll be opening questions to the audience for the panel. And do we have questions?
Yeah. Sweet. Well, you guys, first off, I love you guys to death. Like, ThunderCats is one of the best series of all time, both the new show and, of course, the old show. It's one of the new show. I want to ask, the toys also were, like, some of my favorites, as well as with the He-Man figures. Did you guys ever get, like...
Not a penny. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I mean, like, did you guys ever get, like a free figure of yourself?
Nothing,
Like,
nothing,
oh,
nothing, not a thing, nothing.
It's worth a lot, too, on eBay.
I heard that it was worth a lot, and I don't have one.
Oh. Did you know they're making new ones? What do you guys think of
Are they?
Yeah. What do you guys think of the new figures that are coming?
Well, that's the new old lineup, which I really like, which is confusing, I know. Yeah.
You can take a look at it.
He put 3 kids through college. Leave me alone. I love this guy. This is the new Bandai series. I think LJN made the original.
Do you have it?
I have a few of them.
Okay, good. I was waiting to. Yeah.
Oh, well, isn't that nice of you? You going to give this to me?
Yeah, well, if you didn't have one, yeah.
I have, well, I just yesterday gave my 6-year-old grandson one. They live out here in Malibu, and Bandai was nice enough. I did a signing for them in San Diego for a couple hours. So they sent me a box with 3 or 4 of these, and 2 or 3 of the big ones, and a couple of those swords.
Yes.
So, thank you so much. I would take it from you if I didn't have some, but I know you paid for that. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Well,
I
yes,
sign it for you.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Oh, thanks,
It's $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll do this.
Yeah, we'll do it later.
Come over to the table.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Thank you. Sorry.
I'll show him some pictures too.
Oh, sweet.
Always think that. Always.
We gotta make one of you, like.
Yeah, but I could sign that too.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, of course.
And I'll only charge that.
I know. I still, yeah.
Oh, undercutting me, are you?
All right, do you have any more questions?
Thank you all for coming. First question for both of you. What did you think when the...
You only get one.
What did you think when the outtake reels of you all came out and were leaked online?
That's for you.
I haven't seen them, so I have no answer.
Haven't you really?
No. I do emails and I do my best to keep up. My daughters try and help me on the internet. It's not my thing. I do it, but I don't know. I never read Larry.
Love the outtake.
I wish you'd teletype me once in a while. Send some telegram or something. Morse code means. Of course, I've heard them for years and years. The first time I heard them many years ago, I thought, oh no, God, no. Is there anyone who's not familiar with the Outtakes? Well, the dirtiest one goes. Well, they're not all dirty, but there are some. Like, what the fuck is a samoflange? Well, they didn't use that line. They did a record because Gerrianne. And the other two of you have never heard them. I think it's Panther. It's Earl Hyman. Going, I'm going to have to take and fix the samoflange. And in the background, you're going to say, what the fuck is a samoflange? This day, there's a cab driver in New York. I have never met him. I can only tell you from seeing him whiz by, as he yells out, Lionel, what the fuck is that? He's an African-American gentleman, probably now in his 60s. But from the day that came onto the internet, well, it's Manhattan, so how often does he see me? But maybe once every 3 years. And he's got this honk. He goes, da-da, da-da, and I know it's him. But I don't know which, there's a million cabs, I don't know which one until I hear him, and he goes, oh, someday I hope I meet him. But the question was, so at first I thought, here's what I thought. Well, first of all, there are things from, that we would, cuss words, or just funny things we would say that we never got into the show. Now, back in our day, when we were recording those things, there was no internet, as far as the way we know it now, And we used to joke about, like when somebody said something dirty or that had to be cut out, the joke was, that'll go on the engineer's Christmas reel.
Right.
Because engineers would save all those things, and then like if they were having a party, they'd say, hey, you guys want to hear some dirty stuff? That they said while they were taping ThunderCats, or I had James Earl Jones in the studio. You want to hear what he says? So that's all that ever happened to him. Well, now you've got the world. It's available to the world. So my first thought then was, what if some little kids here or fans of the ThunderCats are going to hate, think differently of us now? Well, all of a sudden I get emails, love the Outtakes! Mr. Kenney, what the F is it? But, no, that's pretty much it.
Do we have another question? Go ahead.
I just wanted to know, do you have any actual cats at your house?
Real cats?
Yeah, or just ThunderCats toys?
Oh, no, I don't have any cats.
You have stuffed animal cats. Yay!
Kathleen again.
Get a microphone over here.
Yes, I have some artificial cats at home. I'm not a cat person. I'm more of a dog person. But that's all right. No, I don't have any cats.
I have one cat that I like to stuff because I am a dog person too. My wife is a cat person, so we have a cat.
His name is Lionel.
No. Her name is Sassy. That's another reason I don't like her. I have to say, come here, Sassy.
My cat's name is Lionel.
Is your cat's name Lionel? All right. That cat, I would like. But I'm a cat, but my wife likes cats, so my theory is if Mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. So
All right, any more questions? Okay, go ahead.
You ever look at a script and say, who writes this stuff? I really gotta read this?
That's happened, but not necessarily in ThunderCats. But there have been other times when you get a copy and you think, oh, look, what is this? Especially commercials.
Who talks like this? People on commercials.
I mean, that
You always
would be
get
the way,
some.
yeah.
But of course you go ahead and do it.
You're getting paid for it. You try and make sense out of it. You try and justify what's being said. And if you can't, you say, I really could, can we explain this, please? Because I don't think I can say that and mean it right. one try.
How about if I say it this way? Well,
Yeah, and then you make a suggestion, and they might say, oh, yeah, that sounds all right.
But writers, if there's a writer, if the guy who wrote it or the lady who wrote it is at the session, forget it. Because writers, they think what they wrote is.
Oh, and then there's the lawyer.
Sorry.
The lawyer who makes it, lawyer perfect, and particularly with commercials, where every word is measured and exactly right, and they're watching for whatever that they can be sued about. So there's really, in a radio spot, you have much more leeway, and you can ad lib, and you can add a word here, and blah, 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 blah. But in a TV voiceover, you absolutely tone words.
I have this little joke I like to play if, let's say, Gerrianne and I are doing a commercial together, which unfortunately we haven't done for years and years. You're always working alone these days. But, like, you'll be outside, reading your scripts, or even maybe running through a rehearsing order, and then they call you in and introduce you. This is the director so-and-so, this is the engineer, and this is Bob, he's our writer. And I like to go, oh, Gerrianne was asking who wrote this crap.
Okay, another question.
What is the craziest when you were recording ThunderCats? What was the craziest thing that happened in the booth, whether it was on the outtakes reel or not?
Adolf Caesar.
Yeah, there was. Do you all know an actor named Adolf Caesar? Are you familiar with him? There's somebody who knows Adolf. He had the most mellifluous, beautiful, dark voice that was just glorious.
Oh, he was a dark man.
That's very true. But Larry does a splendid imitation of Adolf at his worst. So,
yeah. Let me just first say that at his worst, and we don't know what reasons he was at his worst. Maybe a long flight, I don't know. Too much cocaine. Anyway, even at his worst, when he stepped up to the mic, he was incredible. But he would, I forget what character he would play, but just last night I was listening to some outtakes with, I don't think these are on the, they might be, but anyway, I don't remember what show it was, either Tiger Sharks or whatever. The honeymoon. Anyway, you could hear him, they're saying, Adolf, he would lie on the floor.
The minute he finished, he would lie flat on the floor.
Flat on the floor. And then they'd say, Adolf, you're lying, and he'd jump up, he's a little man.
Very tiny.
He'd jump and say, you guys want to voice. How you doing? Okay, so we're going to have to go over there and get this man and bring him back to Thundera.
It was like a split person. I mean, it was just extraordinary. So I would say that was the most bizarre thing. Yeah.
Is that bizarre enough?
Is that okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're the moderator.
Go ahead.
And do you have a favorite episode that you like?
I like them all.
Yeah, we just had such a good time doing it. That it was just okay. Oh, here's a new script. I don't recall particularly one that stands out that I liked the most. I guess I like the ones that I had the most to do on. Because you like to do your thing, and the more, and you have, I have one line here, and I have another line here. But I liked when I had more to do. So those were my favorites.
I always go, my line, bullshit. My line, crap. Me again. I'm sure that's natural. Whatever one is. I don't have a favorite one. In one way, I guess I do. I would say probably the pilot episode, which was an hour, and because, of course, that was the first ones we were so excited. But they were all equally well written, and I don't know.
Now, were you able to view the episodes? Did you have?
No.
No, not a chance.
No,
Okay.
To view it toward what end? You mean to say, oh, I don't like the way I did that?
Oh no, actually, to catch the episode in full after you had recorded.
Oh no.
That's what was on the air.
Yeah, not until it was on the air, because you never recorded and then the next day it was on. I mean, it was always very much different in terms of the timing.
So how many episodes ahead?
Well, we would do 4. We would work
2 days a
2
month.
days a month, and we do
Two a day. 2 a day.
2 a day. Yeah.
Every Thursday and Friday we work one episode Thursday morning, one episode. We had to do that because, well, first of all, you do with any TV show, whether it's animated or it's a sitcom or whatever. Before it's been bought, when you're doing for spec, for what we call for spec, you do 13 episodes, and then, well, no, I'm sorry, I think you do a pilot.
And then you get
And then
bought
you
or
show it,
not.
then
Yeah.
you go around to networks and try to sell it, yeah. And then if you sell it, so then they sold it to, wasn't on Cartoon Network first, was it? It was on ABC or something. Anyway, then they buy usually 13 episodes. Because, and they want to see how it, what kind of ratings it gets. You know, so originally you do 13 episodes before it's even on the air. And then if they buy, then they'll buy another 13 or another 26. And then after that, then they bought a year, you know, then another year. But we're only on 2 years. Anyway, but the reason we would only do 2 shows, first of all, like I said, we started recording it in October of '83, went on the air in '85, so we were working almost a year and a half on those 13 episodes before it ever hit the air. And one of the reasons for it is that once they sold the pilot, and it sounded like a cat, didn't it? Sounded annoying, like snark. Anyway, I was only kidding. But, where was I, Mom? Once you recorded a few episodes, you had to give the writers, first of all, time to come up, you know, and the animators time to get what you've done already animated.
Because you didn't do it to picture, you did the audio, and then they drew the pictures,
Yeah.
which is why it always seems so that your words were coming out of the right place, because they drew it to what they heard.
They animate to the voices.
So it was very married. I've just completed doing a new cartoon that'll be on the Disney Channel in January called Gaspard and Lisa, which is for a very young audience, and it's the most popular cartoon in France. It's been done in England, and now they're doing it here. And I've been dubbing to a very large black rabbit, and it's very difficult to dub exactly when someone's going. You know, but anyway, just in relation to your question, that you know, we won't see that until January, and I've been doing that.
Well, I'm not going to watch it because it's for children and because I'm not in it. Because you didn't know my ThunderCats. I'm not going to watch it. I'm sorry, I love you like that.
We can make watch the outtakes, you can watch them.
If you do, you promise to watch it.
All right, we can do that.
Okay, we have another
I think
question.
it's a very
Yes.
vicious business.
Yes.
Frank?
Is there any aspect about the new series that really blew you away, Larry?
Go ahead. She likes all of it. Well, it's a very good question. First of all, I knew it was going to be good because when they asked me to be involved in it, I said, let me see a script, let me see some pictures, let me talk with some of the people involved. Because I know what ThunderCats means to you guys. And I would not be involved in something that you guys wouldn't like. Or I would do it under a different name. Because the money's good. No, I never went in because, hey, listen, from emails, from talking with you guys back and forth all these years, I know what the show means to you. It's beyond, to many people, it's beyond just something fun to watch. I know that. ThunderCats has a very special place in its fans' hearts maybe other shows do too. I don't know. I'm not involved in those, but I know from the letters I've gotten. Like, I've received emails for years where people who tell me they had, for whatever reason, not a good childhood. Some of them explained graphically. You can imagine. They would say things like, I would go in, when times were bad in my house, or the place I was staying, I would go in and close that door, and when I was watching ThunderCats, that all went away. And that was the 1/2 hour that I, you know, wasn't afraid I was going to get beat, or wasn't afraid, you know. And so I know what that means to people. And so I would never be involved, and I'm not trying to be noble here. Never be involved in something that was going to denigrate that or take that away from people or make them angry. I know you guys were all sitting here thinking for the live. When once you heard they're going to make a new series, I hope they don't mess it up. They better not mess with the code of Thundera, because that's what the show is all about: truth, honesty, loyalty, justice. And they didn't. They did. These people who, from Warner Brothers, that I met before we ever started recording, are huge fans themselves as kids. They love the show. I mean, they begged me to, you know, we love the show, and we're going to make it what it was. It's going to be ThunderCats. It'll look a little different, it'll sound a little different, but people are going to, you fans, they told me, all right, we're not going to tune in and say, what the hell is this? They're going to say, oh my God, it's Pumyra, it's the ThunderCats, you know, it's the Camouflage. Everybody, what the? So that's that.
Okay, one final question. All right, go ahead.
If they made a live action ThunderCats now with a talent pool now, whom would you want to be one?
I don't think I'd want to see a live action one. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Brad. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I can't even fathom that. Just somebody who would, you know, look good in the tights. And no, I really don't know.
Tell that story that you told before about them playing the new thing and then it goes under thumbs up and it was you. I like
Oh, well, several of you have come up to me today and said this to me, that when you first saw the first episode, and there was a moment that was especially, that you liked especially. I'll tell you what the moment was. I mean, when we first, in San Diego, I think it was, when we did a panel, and the first time that fans got to see the first episode, they showed it on the huge screen. We were all backstage, the whole cast and the producers and the writers, backstage kind of going. And from the opening music, the crowd, we hear the crowd roaring on the other side of the screen. So we thought, it's safe to go out there. So we went out and snuck around in the back. And there came a moment when I was playing Claudius, but I remember when we recorded it, they said, it's Claudius, but kind of go back to your original Lionel voice for this once. So I did. And that moment on screen when Claudius lifts up the sword of omens and goes, thunder, thunder! Woo! And the crowd started roaring. And I just figured, well, yeah, because it's the, and John Bergen, one of the writers, turned to me and said, that's because they recognize it's you, and that's an homage to you. And
So just do it once. Just do it.
Yeah, do it! Do it! Thunder! 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 ThunderCats!